Have you guys ever been to Joshua Tree?
No.
Mm-mm.
That's for me, my favorite place to take mushrooms and just to be. I love being out in the desert high like that or being on those rocks. We actually just bought some land out there and I can't wait to just take mushrooms and never leave.
I mean, the whole like, I'm split on like the different world thing because it would be so cool if that was real. But like, I've never been convinced that shit exists because I had a really vivid dream, right? Like,
what? And Taylor, would you ever take an hallucinogen? Would you ever do DMT or anything like that?
If I was in like a perfect environment, I would. I'm a high anxiety person, so I'd have a lot of trouble going into it, just being like, just relax and take the acid, idiot. It's like, no, I know I've taken acid. I'm about to freak out. I'm afraid. Right. Is that it starting? No, is that it starting? Like that whole unknown is scary to me. If I'm smoking weed or taking an edible or something, I know exactly what to expect. But with the hallucinogens, it is spooky.
You had to start with pot. You have to start with heroin. Just like
it's time for me to walk
your
through
anxiety.
Yeah. It's time for me to walk through that gateway into the rest of the drugs.
Last time Taylor and I were in Colorado together, I wanted to go do the sensory deprivation tank on like large doses of marijuana. For those that don't know, you're literally basically in a coffin filled with very salty water, so salty that you're incredibly buoyant. You just kind of float on top of it, and they shut the lid, and you're in there completely deaf, blind, and with you're not touching anything, so there's no sense of touch anymore. And then on high doses of things like marijuana or like real hallucinogens like mushrooms or LSD or something like that, you go on some incredibly vivid trips. Like the guy who invented LSD would do that and like describe the trips he went on, and they sound fantastical.
You know, there are people who are microdosing LSD now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that do the same thing as microdosing shrooms? Or
I don't know enough about it.
I read that it's that they feel much more creative when they're doing that. That it's activating some part of their brain or stimulating a part of their brain that's that's part of the creativity center or something like that.
You mean with the microdose?
Yeah. So they're not impaired. They're it's quite the opposite is their feeling. So if they're like writers or painters or something like that, they're just they feel more creative doing whatever their art form is.
It was popular amongst computer programmers when I was one. And I always felt like, what? Like my competitors are on brain steroids? This sucks. Like you're microdosing LSD to kick off your work day and being better at your job. So they say.
It almost reminds me of the current season of American Horror Story. The sort of MacGuffin, the whole like central like thing is that this chemist has made these pills that are basically talent incarnate. If you are a talented person and you take this pill, now you're not just a writer, you're fucking Mark Twain. If you're a painter, you're not just a painter who can get their stuff into an art gallery. You're fucking Picasso. Like whatever your thing is, like it amplifies it to 100. However, if you're not talented, you basically go insane because now you have to face how untalented you are, and all of their hair falls out and they become like ghouls. So this town where it's going on in, there's these two groups of people at this point. They're the ghouls who are out in the street fucking eating rabbits. And then there are like these hyper talented, incredibly wealthy people who they're like, yeah, so we got you 2 Netflix deals, and Quentin Tarantino wants you to do a rewrite for him. And like it's a really interesting season.
I am going to microdose LSD and report back to you.
Get after it.
I like this.
I think I don't think I am. I know I am. I know somebody here in
Actually,
Tennessee
I just took it. I'm going to be real.
Microdoses it. And I had never thought of it, but I'm going to give it a run.
All right. I look forward to hearing back your findings.
Yeah, I hope I don't end up one of those bald ghouls.
So what's your setting? What's your setting, Josh? Are you going to do it like prior to a show, and then you going to microdose and hit the stage? Or are you going to microdose and hit the campfire? Like, what's the plan?
I think I'll microdose and probably try to write was what I would do.
Okay.
I like the stage. Just my Saturday late show. I like to get a little twisted, but my thinking is like, if I only have to work 3 hours a week. If I can't stay sober, I got some problems. Do you know what I mean? So I try to figure out a way to, but also like I don't ever want to be dependent on stage of being like, well, I got to be high to be funny or anything. That stuff makes me more nervous than anything else.
Yeah.
That my brain will start being like, well, you're not gonna be funny tonight because you're not high.
Yeah.
And so I don't